Hello everyone, welcome to our Goodwood Sussex Stakes preview. So in today's video, we will be looking exclusively at the Sussex Stakes. The five-day decks came out this morning. We're currently recording in the early evening of Thursday, so we've got 6 days to play for before the race actually takes place on Wednesday. Looks to be a very fascinating race from two perspectives. Firstly, we get to see Field of Gold, who is undoubtedly this season's superstar. And secondly, it is going to be one of the most tactically interesting races, probably of the season. And that's despite a very, very tactical Coral Eclipse. So let's get straight into it. We're still running off the same ground expectations as yesterday, which is good classic summer racing ground. And we will begin with the star of the year, as mentioned, Field of Gold. So he put in probably the performance of the week at Royal Ascot when he won St James's Palace Stakes. Rashabar and Ruling Court were in third and fourth, and they have both ran pretty respectively since. It is quite remarkable with Field of Gold how similar his career is to his father's 11 years ago, with the only exception thus far being the Guineas trial that they chose to run in. And he looks like he has the talent to emulate his father in this race. My only anxieties would probably be any potential for soft ground, which looks highly unlikely. But also, as mentioned, the tactically run affair. There are a lot of Coolmore horses in this. They could try get on the front end and slow things down. We saw at Newmarket in the 2000 Guineas that he can potentially, if unbalanced, take a while to get going. And Goodwood is a course where horses can't easily get unbalanced. So for those two reasons, I think he's slightly skinny at 4-9 right now. But what do you think, Daniel?
Afternoon, everyone. Sorry about the hotel bedroom background. I'm on the road at the moment. Coming back to what you said about his performance at Royal Ascot being probably the performance of the Royal Ascot, I'd go beyond probably. Yeah, it was absolutely sensational, wasn't it? We were both there for that, as I recall.
We were, yeah. Drawing a jug of Pimm's, I think, at that stage.
Yeah, absolutely. First of many. Anyway, I kind of would have thought, well, as of yesterday, I would have thought his price is pretty almost neutral to attractive, as in he's so far clear of these, not just on visually what we've seen, but on the form and on the ratings, whether you take, time form or RPRs, you've got more or less half a stone in hand. In fact, time form even say on his sort of summary, which I slightly disagree with, will go on improving. And might go on improving. Can you improve from 132p time form rating? As in, will definitely. Seemed a bit strong to me. But what's changed my mind is something you touched on there. This is suddenly a much larger Sussex than we anticipated. This race has had five runners, sim runners the last few years. And with Field of Gold in it, and with the knowledge that Henri Matisse is going to turn up and Rosallion, you just thought, most people thought, oh no, this game is not worth the candle. Let's go elsewhere. And all of a sudden now, it's only 5 days, and some may drop out. But just maybe, Bailey Doyle are thinking, if we run a few, if we make a bigger field, we could get this guy in trouble. We could lock this guy in. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they've had discussions like that. And I don't think they're going to send all of those, which is something we'll come to. But it just puts a seed of doubt in my mind as to how easy a run this hold-up performer is going to get, how good a trip. So he's so good, though. I'm not going to call him unattractive at 4-9, even though I myself have never backed and will go to my deathbed never having backed a horse before 4-9.
Neutral. Yeah, neutral on Field of Gold. It will be an exciting experience to watch him run again. He's a fantastic looking horse, and hopefully he can go kick on by three lengths or so, and really cement himself as the best miler we've seen for 10 years or so. So next in the betting, you actually just mentioned there that Rosallion is going to line up. Would not be certain that he will. He took a bit of a drift on the exchange yesterday before the 5-day decks were announced, and Hannon had always been quite lukewarm on sort of setting a firm target for him after the Queen Anne. basically, I assume in anticipation of looking to avoid Field of Gold. But are you hearing or feeling that he is more likely to turn up here?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I, like you, was aware that Rosallion wasn't nailed on for this race a few weeks ago. But as we got this far, and more to the point, as we're 95+% sure that it'll be Rosallion ground, I'd be staggered if they didn't go to, because the alternative is probably to wait. Well, still wait for the likes of the Prix Jacques Le Marois, and a couple of weeks' time, Normandy in August. Trust me, my mum lives there. August, it can rain almost every day. There's no guarantee of getting fast ground in Deauville in August. And then all the alternatives is York dropping to 7 furlongs, which he's toyed with that idea. But they can still go to the 7 furlong race after this. I'd be very surprised if he didn't run. I will say about Rosallion, my halfpenny about it is I find him unattractive, because I think his profile, his form has flatlined. He's lost his last 2. There are other horses in here who are just getting better and better and better. The 3-year-olds before him and immediately below him in the betting. He's the one I like least. He might well be placed, but you wouldn't get your money back by backing each way. And I don't think for one moment he'll beat Field of Gold. And I personally don't think he'll beat Henri Matisse.
Yeah, I can definitely see that too. The way that Coolmore spoke up about Henri Matisse after the Queen Anne suggests that they do think he is a top class horse too. And Rosallion, you're right, he needs things to go his way, and his arc of improvement has certainly tailed off. So he might actually go off short on the day, because very short price favourite with a potentially 8-runner market, the bookies will be cutting him to avoid the each way scrumbaggery, but he will definitely go off at least 5.0 on the exchange. So it's probably not a good price right now. Henri Matisse next in the betting. So do you want me, or would you like to paint sort of an impressionist picture of the emotional roller coaster you went through when tipping him a week ago or so, and if you think he's still attractive at the current prices?
Therapy that day. We put out an article how 8-1 how Henri Matisse is just a golden each way bet. I'd like to beat Field of Gold, but there's no way this guy won't finish in the 3. Then within hours of going live with that article, out comes this massive market move for Delacroix for this race. And suddenly he's absolutely slashed from sort of 33s or even higher into single figures. Henri Matisse drifts right out, and I have this sort of the blood draining from my face. I give you a call, James, we've got this term. Anyway, then sure enough, 24 hours more goes by, and it's all, no, Ballydor say, no, Delacroix was never going to length with us. And it turns out to be Darryl Carter and his sort of betting tipping operation, just putting out a thing saying, look, we don't think he'll run, but 50s, just why not? And suddenly this all went viral, this betting thing for Delacroix, which turned out to be fake. So yeah, anyway, I didn't have to seek therapy, back on track. As you know, I'm a paid-up member of the Henri Matisse fan club. I think he's an absolute crack miler, and I think he's so good, but it's overshadowed by the fact that he was beaten 3 legs last time by a superstar, and that's what muddies up his form. Without Field of Gold, we've been talking about the star miler of the season. He's got his ground. He might improve again. He improved half a stone from the French Guineas to the St James Palace. Different course, different day. Field of Gold look locked in. You never know. Don't think he'll win, but how can he finish out the places? That said, we recommend him at 8s, 5s. This feels neutral to me. You're just betting to get your money back.
Yeah, especially when there was 16s on offer when that drift did happen. Next in the betting is actually, unfortunately, the horse I backed while trying to back Henri Matisse at 16, misclicked onto Docklands. He is an Ascot specialist and definitely benefited from a slow pace in the Queen Anne, but comes here as the Queen Anne winner and is a consistent horse. Do you think he could make the top 3?
I went back to look at this guy and I just thought, am I being lazy about the Ascot horse angle? And I looked up his last sort of 9 runs as rated by various organisations, and unfortunately did just confirm his 4 best runs, staggered over all sorts of different times over the last year and a half. His 4 best runs are Ascot. He absolutely loves that course. So unfortunately that did confirm that. But he hasn't run badly elsewhere. And he given that he put up performance of his lifetime last time, he's only a 5-year-old. We're not talking about a guy in his dotage here. Maybe he is a shade overpriced at 14s, but if this was at Ascot, obviously he wouldn't be 14s, but that's where you want him. And there is every chance he won't finish placed. So, I'm just sorry, this is getting a bit boring in here, a lot of this, but I think I'm neutral on him at 14s.
Okay, yeah, neutral at 14s. Ascot, a lot stiffer mile than the Goodwood mile, so it doesn't feel like that course form would necessarily translate to the Goodwood Downs. So neutral for Docklands. Next, we have lead artists. So the more I think about it, the more I think that this horse should go. Obviously, the judge might have Kirat supplemented as a potential pacemaker, but he's 100 rated. Lead artist is a Group 1 from the front over a mile. There's only one of those horses will you be actually quite fearful of making all. And obviously, Coolmore, they'll be looking to dominate from the front, slow the race down, make it as tricky as possible for Field of Gold. Would you use a Group 1 winner as a stallion prospect if you're a Juddmonte? In this case, I do think potentially maybe Field of Gold's stud value would probably not be impacted were he to not win this race, whereas Field of Gold's stud value probably wouldn't live up to the potential it would be were he to win. So Gosden forecast that tricky race in the Eclipse. It was a tricky race. He had an egg on his face for not running a pacemaker. Will he change his mind and run one now? I hope so. I think so. And if he were to, then 25 to 1, I think, is quite an attractive price, actually. What do you think of this horse?
When the decks came out this morning, this was a wow moment for me. And it's not often that a wow moment is when a 150 to 1 shot is put in a race. But this is because I just immediately asked, why? If lead artist is running and they've kept him in, why are they running Kirat? I mean, lead artist is the class act in the field of those who've run out in the front. And he might get a nice cozy on the front end and go a decent pace to set up a Field of Gold. Field of Gold can do a superstar thing, but then suddenly chucking Kirat, same connections. Why? I'm by the way a bit narc because I backed Kirat for the Golden Mile. I think it is. He does like Goodwood, but not enough to get placed in. So no appeal for that. We'll come to him later. Lead artist. Therefore, I've come to the conclusion, and I could be completely wrong, that lead artist will not run. Otherwise, I think this guy would be worth in each way. And were he to stay on at anything like 25s at the 48 stage, it's like, oh, okay, hang on, there's too classy to leave alone there. But as it is, I genuinely don't think he'll run.
Okay. Yeah. Therefore, a case from Daniel for potential unattractive to neutral. Certainly the chance of turning up is factored into the price here. So obviously, if were he to go, he would almost definitely be cut. So more neutral from me at this stage, mainly because I think he should go. But the Gosdens are experts. I'm not. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Next in the betting, we have got Diego Velasquez. So initially was quite worried about him this season after quite a weird start where he got upset in the stalls, was pulled out, then was maybe rushed into Royal Ascot without a prep. He then thankfully got things back on track with a win over 7 furlongs in a Group 2 in Ireland. Could be a pace angle here for Coolmore. And we tweeted that he was interesting at 66s each way. How do you feel about 33s?
Yeah, we did tweet out when the comment came, we're thinking of running with Diego Velasquez. We tweeted out, look, 66 is, this is high risk play. We accept this guy won't go, but he might. And 66 is just too much. This was always going to be the flag bearer at the older milers for Ballydoyle this year. And it just didn't work out at the beginning of the season. It all went wrong. Yeah, as you say, the prep race, he acted up, had to be withdrawn straight to the Queen Anne where he was dismal. I think he was last or certainly the first beaten and out well behind the leaders there. Back on track in a kind of nothing race compared to this level. But surely he can step forward again. And the only thing is, I mean, he really needs to. There's no race on his CV yet that has him in the places here on the ratings. It's all about he's probably got more to give, and he was going to potentially show that in the Breeders' Cup Mile. He went out there and was going to be the favourite ahead of Henri Matisse and Ryan Moore's pick, but it was a vet scratch or something like that, wasn't he? So he never got to run. But I was over at Champions Weekend to see him, easily win a Group 2 on the same day. Economics and August Roda had their great tussle. So anyway, summary is we still don't know if he's going to go. 66s was worth a play. 30s, 16s in places, amazing. Some people think he's going, but even then I wouldn't touch him at 16s even if he did go. 33s, no, still a bit skinny on the unattractive side of neutral.
Okay, unattractive for Diego Velasquez. We have another Coolmore horse next in the betting, funnily enough, and that is the Lion and Winter. So we're certainly surprised to see him in the entries, given that we were told after his run in France that he would be going back to France for the Prix de Jacques Lamora. Therefore, you'd have to think he's unattractive. However, if he were to turn up here, he would be a good bit shorter, maybe verging on single figures. So if you give him about a 25% chance of turning up, he'd maybe be an attractive bet. But I get the impression you think there's a smaller chance than 25% that he goes.
Yeah. Well, those of you who watch these podcasts frequently will know I'm occasionally guilty of very vehement opinions. I have a very vehement opinion about this one. There is no chance in hell of the Lion and Winter running in this race unless Henri Matisse is injured. I'm convinced he's the reserve. They mentioned the Jacques Lamar for him, the big Group 1 mile in 2 weeks in France. That's going back to Deauville, where he ran so well last time in the Jean Prat. That's where he's going. As for if he did come here, it'd be an interesting one to watch. But he's still got to do it all on the ratings. He's still, in a sense, priced. These people are pricing for 12. So kind of was pricing up, thinking back to his 2-year-old form. This year, even the Jean Prat, was his third. But that performance alone, again, we're nowhere near getting placed in this race. Far, far deeper. So he's hugely unattractive because he will not run, and slightly unattractive at this price if he doesn't.
Yeah, I had not realised he was as short as 12. So that is stunningly short.
2-year-old reputations, isn't it?
Yeah, crazy. 12s would be hugely unattractive. 33s, I'm just unattractive. Sounds like you must be hugely unattractive. Next in the betting, we've got Spackler. He is a US sort of top miler, came over to be campaigned in the UK this summer, and he didn't quite perform at Ascot. But is the market underappreciating his US form, and his 40s an attractive price?
Just to qualify, he's come over for English campaign, but just as a temporary measure because he's way down under, isn't he? He's now with I can't pronounce the trainer's name, so I won't. He's with an Australian trainer. And he came over for Ascot, and we thought, okay, we'll give one more go. And they said, we'll come to the Sussex Stakes before flying him down to Australia. No, I'll just copy and paste what I said about him for the Queen Anne. Given dig in the ground, this guy is absolutely top draw miler, not field of gold quality, but I've genuinely, and as by the way, so to Timeform, genuinely rate him up there with the likes of Rosallion and Henri Matisse when he's got anything but good firm ground. It's got to be a bit more. He's the son of Lope de Vega, and he's got these wonderful races in America worth watching where he just sprints away from anything. When he goes on good to firm in America, he kind of just wins. He's got wins or gets beaten, and he was pretty well beaten in the Queen Anne. He cannot be. He will certainly run. This is the plan, but he cannot be competitive unless the weather changes. If the weather changes, I would. Well, actually, I already took some 66 speculatively a few weeks ago in the hope of rain. I'm basically ready to rip up that ticket if it doesn't rain. But if something changes with the weather, this guy's super live because a lot of these want it fast.
Yeah. Okay. Weather watch for Carl Spackler, and he might. If you look through his form, you see ones next to good in US racing in his US races. So he might remain overlooked if the weather goes and the ground goes softer. So 40-1 could be of interest.
Good point. Some of those American goods are pretty, good to yielding. So keep an eye on that.
Okay. Exactly is next in the betting. She's 66s. I again was surprised that she turned up here. I have no idea if they're planning to run her. I don't think she'll be good enough if they do run her. I don't think she'd run on her merit were she to run, and therefore she is definitely unattractive.
I pretty much agree 100% with what you just said. I would just cement the form that it's all about running on merits. I think that this is a really good filly who, you know, she was deceptively better than the fourth she finished in the 2000 Guineas because she got a hefty bump. Could have improved again, but I think she was sacrificed in the Coronation. She was ridden just behind Falakea, and when that one, died, pushed on by Wayne Lord, and in the knowledge that Ryan Moore and January were way out the back, wanting a good fast pace. And though she didn't get home ridden like that, when she's ridden on her merits, I'll be in a brace for the fillies. I'll be interested in this filly again, but for now, she either won't run or she's going to run for nuisance field packing value to make things more difficult for the favourite.
Okay, yeah, that leaves two more pacemakers, Kira and Serengeti. It's hardly really worth wasting much breath on these, is it?
No, only to say, do the two camps, Ballydoyle and Juddmonte, now say to each other, they've got pace. Well, should we not run ours? And then you might get a situation with, if neither of them run because of that thinking, and the lead artist doesn't run, then you've got a real recipe for chaos. So no, maybe they're both run. I don't know. It's complete guesswork, isn't it? But neither has a prayer.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, well, yeah, that is a quick run through every single horse that is running in the Sussex Stakes or is currently in the 5-day decs. And we seem to probably be quite under-indexed in terms of our perspective on the shape of the market right now. So we are certainly being too negative on one or two horses, it would appear. But yeah, your most positive mention, who do you think it would be, Daniel, at this stage?
Weather change, Carl Spackler, otherwise not Spackler. I know that's totally unhelpful, but right now, I can't see this as a market to play aggressively until you know more, and then it's really kind of 48-hour stage, isn't it? For those, like lumping in on short price favourites, Fielder's towers over these and really should win. He's priced up as if he's only going to win 2 out of 3 of these, but surely he does win 2 out of 3 of these races, doesn't he?
You would think so, yeah. Maybe being too sceptical of the short price, but yeah, this will be a tactically run affair. It will be fascinating. Sorry that we haven't put up more clear-cut selections, but hopefully you've enjoyed the discussion and found it interesting. We certainly enjoyed the discussion in the comments. So please, as we lose Daniel, please do comment any thoughts you have, and if you think that we are underplaying the chances of one of these horses, we'd love to know. Thank you very much for watching, and we will probably speak to you in the next week or so. So Daniel, you've disappeared, but if you want to say anything, say it now. If not, I will end this. All right, you're back. Okay, bye. Goodbye.